preserve our own worth and defend our own voice, which lets the true market emerge. The strength of the design lies in each of our participation, since we are the node to channel our energy end to end. As we claim responsibility to uphold our own rights, we radiate the power that brings our truth into light.
Hi, everyone. First, let's do a thank you, a shout out for Tip NZ for sharing her music for the intro and the outro. Education through music is such a wonderful thing, so you definitely need to check out Tip's work at www.tipnz.com. This week on Bitcoin Homeschoolers, Tali and I sat down with Bridgette Johnson, and wow, what an inspiration. Our goal was just to hear her story and share her educational materials for kids. But we got so much more than that. Her positive mental attitude is contagious. The decisions that she makes every day, even in restricted circumstances, is definitely making a difference in people's lives. She's a mother of 5 who at 45 decided to go back to college and become a teacher. And since then has reached hundreds of elementary kids, including many that have been traumatized and abused. She's a grandmother, she's an entrepreneur, she's starting her own preschool based on the way kids really learn, not based on fiat curriculums. This includes money literacy and so much more. So, bottom line, Tali and I are really inspired. So many topics. You're going to enjoy the show. So now for the discussion with the creative and passionate Bridgette Johnson.
All right, everybody, welcome to Bitcoin Homeschoolers. We're so excited to have a very special guest with us today. Her name is Bridgette Johnson, and I met her at a local women's networking group. She has a fascinating story, a wonderful project that we can't wait to share with you. Hi, Bridgette. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for asking me.
So I was telling my husband about how we met and your backstory, and I would love for you to just give him and our audience an understanding of who you are, how did you get to this project, how you generated the idea, and of course about your granddaughter and her cousin.
Okay, well, my name is Bridgette Johnson, and I am a former hairdresser. When I wanted to go back into the workforce, and I had 5 children, so childcare can be very costly. And so I thought about what I could do, and my sister-in-law suggested, why don't you go into the school system? That way, when the kids get out of school, because they were getting older, you get home at the same time that they would. And so I did that. I went and I became a substitute teacher. My first job was at McFerrin Elementary in Louisville, Kentucky. And so from there, I was a preferred sub for 8 years. And before the principal retired, she asked me to go back to college. And I said, who, me? And she said, yes, you. I said, at the age of 45? And she said, yes, you. So I thought about the math, and I thought about every other, thing I could think about, computers and all that. So I took her up on it, and I went. But while I was there substituting, I saw a lot of challenging behaviors, a lot of problems I wish I could solve, but I didn't have a degree. So I would jingle off of songs, and I would create big dramatic plays, and if there was a Kroger, I invented it. I made a Kroger, I made a Doc McStuffins hospital, anything that they needed me to do, I made. So the principal said, you're such a good fit with children. You can make things, create things. And so I saw the behavior issues were a lot for the teachers. So I would jingle off of songs, and I had a keyboard that lighted up. So I would take the keyboard around and act like I was playing it. I would play tunes, but it was already predestined in the keyboard. So the kids thought I knew how to play. And so it would play different songs. So you could push a button, it would play different things. And so I would take it to the classrooms, and I would jingle off of songs. And so I told my son one day, I said, why don't you give me some music off the internet? Because I came up with a 5 senses rap. And the kids would say, hey, I know my 5 senses. I would say that, and then the kids would say, what you say? And so we would jingle back and forth and say different things. And I would say, sense number 1, I can smell. That's why we have noses. If it smells it, I can tell. And I would go, senses, and kids would know, I know my 5 senses. What you say? And so I became DJ BJ, the rapping school teacher, or the 5 senses lady to the kids. And so I would, get popular with these little rhymes and jams, and the teachers liked it, the parents liked it. And so they said, when you gonna go in the studio? I was like, who, me? I was like, I can make a joyful noise, but I don't know about singing. And so I thought about it and I went in the studio with my joyful noise and I recorded 5 songs. And that became the beginning of me being a children's author. And so I authored a book to go with each of them. And so then they deemed me DJ BJ, the rapping school teacher. So that was how that came about. And so all of my books have a rapping, kid friendly aspect to them because it captures the kids' attention and they like to dance and different things like that. So that was the beginning of that. And I started a business called Creatively Invented. I create fun, catchy hip hop educational products for home and school. And so I've always been a different teacher. I've always used different genres of music in my classroom, from Michael Jackson instrumental beats to reggae music. And so I could take a song like "This Is How You Do It" and put the alphabet in it, A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y N Z. Get busy, but it would be the "This Is How You Do It," theme music. And so the kids loved it, and I would just use different types of music to keep the energy going in the classroom. So my principal started to notice that I could handle behavior kids. And so he would just open up the door and just send them to me. He wouldn't send me an email or anything. He would just say, "They're yours." And I'm like, "Oh, Lord." So he saw that me using edutainment and really not following up. I was following the curriculum, but I really had to kind of like, I had to adjust it to the kids' behavior, to the type of children that they were. So uh, I began to jingle off of more songs, create more songs, more books, and to handle those challenging behaviors. And so one of the books that I wrote was called Use Your Manners. It's two superheroes, Mighty Manners and Etiquette. And they are two superheroes. Mighty Manners is a superhero of all good deeds, and Etiquette is a supergirl of all etiquette. And so we would rap about saying yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, thank you, please, I'm sorry, because manners was at an all-time low, really. And I would ask the kids, "You sit like it at a restaurant?" They would go, "Yeah." They would sit all slouched over. But they would never say, hardly, some of them would say thank you when you give them something. So those two superheroes, the kids loved the aspect of being able to identify with the superhero that used manners and etiquette. So that was the beginning of me getting into that type of genre with the kids, and my business Creatively Invented. It goes on to other things that I created also.
Could you maybe just highlight one? Is there a particular case maybe where someone came in, whatever it was, that seemed like an impossible, very difficult case, but then you, with the music, you reached them? I think that would help the audience just to hear a specific case, if any stand out in your mind.
Yes, I have one particular child that nobody wanted him in their classroom, and he had a lot of things going on at home too. So, but he finally ended up in my room, and I use robots, I would use marble trees, just different things in there to capture his attention. But what I did, I try to find out the things that he liked. Like some kids like SpongeBob, some like Ninja Turtles. So I would create things like I would have pencils that like that. I would have placemats like that. Anything that I could associate with the things that they like, I had it in my classroom. Whether if I made a poster board, I went and created one. If it was Sonic, I had that in there. So I had a lot of things that they liked that wasn't really in the curriculum, but they could identify with it. So he liked superheroes and he liked robots and different things like that. So I had that in there. But the manners, he liked Mighty Manners. And he liked the rhyme, like "I am Mighty Manners, and I'm here to say I don't like bad manners, and I'm on my way." So one day he wanted to be the teacher. He liked to be in control, liked to be the head of everything. So I let him be the lead teacher. And so he read the book to the kids, and he would look out the window and tell them Mighty Manners was on the way, that they had to do the right thing, follow the circle time rules and all that. So I gave him like a leadership position, and because he always wanted to take over, so I let him be the leader. And so that gave him an inspiration to do the right thing himself, even though he was telling me who else was doing the wrong thing. It gave him an incentive to do the right thing. And so we had great success with him. He ended up staying in my classroom for 2 years, and a very, very intelligent, just had, issues with challenging behaviors and, words that weren't conducive for the classroom. But he ended up being really like the top person that tested in the kindergarten, like probably a 98.7 success rate with him, even knowing his address, his telephone number. I mean, he didn't have a problem with any of it. He could really basically tutor some of the other children. So just really helping him regulate some of the things that he likes, blending it in with education. It turned out to really be a nice young man. And right now, I guess he probably in the probably I guess third grade by now. But yes, he was nobody wanted him. Nobody. And they would actually look in the classroom to see how he was doing, like peeking her to see like is he jumping off the bookcase? Is he knocking over something? But giving him that leadership role, and I always kept microphones and different things in the classroom, and he was the one that had one. And so I would use different things to get them to help learn the phonics. I had like a flat drum and I put the alphabet on there and I created a song called Beat It, which I took the tune from, somebody else's tune. And we would say, beat the syllables in your name. It's a really cool game. Just beat it. And so he would be
Yeah.
buh, cuh,
Yeah.
so just different things like that I would use. And he loved it, he loved it. So I think I brought out the theatrical aspects of the kids. I think that's what they liked. It was just wasn't just rote, and me just telling them what to say and repeat after me. It was more or less letting them be creative.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that story. I think there's a lot of homeschooling families who have no background in education believe that you need a teacher's certificate in order to educate your children. And you literally are a walking proof that it's the passion and it's the creativity and your willingness to meet the kids where they are. That's so, so important.
Yeah.
And edutainment, I love that concept. I love that you can rap songs that the kids would repeat. So what about if you have a parent who can't rap? What do you say to them? Like they were wanting to
Well,
reach their kids.
they learned the nursery rhymes, didn't they?
They did.
They learned
Yeah.
the nursery rhymes.
Yeah, yeah.
So if Mary had a little lamb, you could take, if Mary had a little lamb, maybe you could put, Mary has some numbers, numbers, numbers. Mary has some numbers. She taught her kids to count.
Love that. Right off the cuff, like just bam.
Well, I'd be
That's so cool.
intimidated because I don't like to sound. I don't know how to sing, so I wouldn't be. I would feel intimidated. But the cool thing is, I don't think most kids care.
No, I don't think the kids care either. They just want to have fun with you, right?
The
I love
kids just want
that.
to have fun.
Yeah.
Some kids don't learn the traditional way. You
Right.
got kids with autism, you have kids that are developmentally delayed, and that's what I liked about it. Like there was one child that I had when I was I think I just got my associate's degree and I was at Maupin Elementary, and he was nonverbal and his grandmother had custody of him. She was really concerned about him fitting in. And at first he did cry a lot and different things like that. But as when you're in an environment where it's constantly being done every day, like if you put the child in that environment where there's music, where there's talking, where there's language, then they begin to catch on. So this little boy ended up being, I mean, he didn't really care for music too much. Like he ended up joining in. He could sing. His phonics and his alphabet knowledge grew. I wish I had kept those testimonials, but just like a saying that a child can begin with autistic, nonverbal, and he left talking, in the classroom because he was in that environment where was so much going on with us talking and verbal and singing, and he ended up talking, which was a great testimony. He was nonverbal. He didn't say anything in the beginning, just cried a lot.
Wow, if you could
So
catch her, that would really help to not only just to sell your program or tell others about it, but for parents that are looking at it to say, this is proof that you can do it. Maybe it's autism,
yes.
maybe it's something else. They have some kind of challenge. If they see somebody else do it, that could be very helpful.
Yeah, and just to know that there's not one way to teach kids anything. There's all kinds of ways. Just see what the kids respond to, right? So you said that your classroom is full of music, creativity, movement, dance. So when they come into your room, do you just sort of push all the furniture to the side and they just have this open area where they can be creative and move, or how did you organize that?
Well, I'm a former preschool teacher. I go back and sub, but I just arranged the room with, like, I would have microphones and stuff. I would have, sometimes I'd have the stand with the microphone in it, but I just didn't let it wasn't like rote, like they had to be over here 20 minutes and 15. It was whatever they wanted to do. Like I had area where I didn't have nothing but sensory, like shaving cream and food coloring. And then I might have marshmallows. I might just have spaghetti that's colored. I would have all of that in one, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I might have that in one section, and that would be a section they could go to. They could stay over the whole time. And music movement, the whole area up front was open for that. Dramatic play wasn't a traditional dramatic play. I would have things that they actually could make, like I would have flour, real flour, and things like that. We would make fake pizza and different things like that. So just really kind of, I had a large classroom, which I was thankful for that, because when I came from Maupin to Duval, I came over to scat out everything, and I said, I want this room right here. And I ended up getting that room because it was large. So I've always had large rooms, but the ones that don't have the larger rooms, it's kind of hard to do a lot of things. But I got a lot of things from Donors Choose. They would donate things to your classroom if you had a different theme. And I remember I had a fish tank that was like a globe. It was like a magnifying glass, and the fish looked bigger than what they were. I would have things like that. Like I created something on Donors Choose where it was called, uh, let me see, it was something with STEM. This is so stimulating. So I got everything that had to do with STEM, things that they could touch and feel. And I got rain sticks, giant rain sticks that were like 6 foot tall. And then you could tip them, and it just sounded like rain coming down. I would just have different things. Like I had a marble tree that was like, probably like, I guess maybe 3 foot, and it would, you put the little wooden things on it, and it would just make the sounds. I had a lot of things that affected the sound. So I don't know. I just created like it was almost like a mini science center, to tell you the truth. My classroom was. I just like to
Yeah.
have, and I always kept music going on. And like the kids, I would have a social emotional thing on the door. We used second steps a lot, and now they use conscious discipline. But like I had the emotions on the door with their names in it with a popsicle stick, and I would always keep music going. But like sometimes when they get to the door, this one particular one that they gave me that I have the testimonial for, he would say he would always be mad. He would take his stick out and put it on, anger. I'm mad. And so I said, why are you mad? And he would say, my mother wouldn't let me watch something on TV. So I was like, well, there's no reason. So we would talk about it before they come to classroom. But I would always have music, and he would break dance and he would flip. But those days I knew that he put anger on it. I knew something was wrong. So it was like, I would try to counteract everything. So I would have on, we might have been moonwalking or something, or we would do some type of music that they like. And I had it on to try to change his disposition before he actually got started in the day. Because I kind of knew if he came in with that attitude, it was going to be a day that he was going to have a rough day. So I always kept some type of music going, whether it be instrumental, or I got the power, or this is how you do it instrumental, or any type of upbeat song that I know the kids loved. I would always have something going. And some people say kids that are autistic, they don't like a lot of noise, but I don't know. Is this, I think when they know that something exciting is coming, even if they have a bad day, get in the car or coming off the bus or whatever, they kind of feel like, ooh, we're gonna do something great today. I would dress up in different characters like Mickey Mouse. I might be Dr. Seuss one day. I even had a glove, a silver glove before, so I've been Michael Jackson. I've been all of them. They come in and they said, "Where Miss Johnson?" I said, "She's not here today." So,
So what happens with, I have an impression, maybe I'm wrong, that some people choose homeschooling not because they just want their kids to excel, but they want that individual attention. And if someone has special needs, like someone who has autism, they don't feel that their son or daughter is going to get as much as they could in a different setting with other kids. So the kids that you saw were pretty fortunate because they got you, right? What's it like in the system for a lot of these kids? Is it
Who
like,
didn't have you?
that didn't have you? Like if you weren't there to help when they said, okay, we've got this
this kid who's angry all the time or doesn't even know he's angry. The kid who has issues. What happens to most of them? I just it because my impression again is that some people use this is the reason they go to homeschooling is specifically to give the care that they want their children to experience.
A lot of people might say like I overdo things. Like some of the teachers are like, well, I'm not, going to that extreme. So I think it depends on your passion. And so when the kids don't have a teacher that is passionate, they do miss a lot of things that they ordinarily could get because if the passion's not there for you to really push that child to the next level, I mean, to some people, teaching is a paycheck, and some people, like me, I would stay like till 7 at night sometimes, get my classroom ready for the next day. And my husband kind of like, where you at? Like, I'm still at the school. Like, what could you still be doing or that late? But I loved it. And I just think, and then a lot of teachers would come and say, what are you doing? We would exchange ideas back and forth. And then the principal at one time, which he got caught up being busy, wanted me to say how I use edutainment and different things in the classroom with different children. Like they would say, well, how did you get so and so to come in off the playground or whatever? And then they were discussing it, and the principal, our administrator, was saying it's the technique. It's the technique that you do. So, like, some people just feel like I'm just here to teach, and I'm not going to do anything extra. But the kids that we have now, you have to go above and beyond, and it ain't gonna be because you're getting paid a lot. It's just got to be a passion of yours. So I just hate to see a child that feels like that they can't measure up to what the other kids are doing. I mean, we've gotten children that have been in wheelchairs. We've had kids that been traumatized, beaten, by certain peoples, and come in and the testimonials that I went back and sub, and one little boy that he was beaten so bad that he couldn't walk, he couldn't talk, and he had a lot of head injuries. And when I went back to substitute this year, he's walking with a walker. He's engaging with the kids. Everybody loves him. And being in that atmosphere brought him out of all of that. And I mean, it is just heartbreaking to see what he had went through, but then seeing the progress of him going down the hallway, walking with a walker, and when he couldn't even walk at first. And his head had such trauma, like wouldn't stay up. Like, and seeing him smile and laugh is just because we put the time in and other teachers invest into the child to keep on working with them till they got to that point. And so I just think that, even if you're homeschooling at home, there's other like Southeast Christian has a homeschool association. They have a homeschool, group. I think you have to put
Mm-hmm.
your child. I've homeschooled before. I meant to tell you that. And I took for field trips. We went with Southeast Christian. They had a camp in Indiana, so I was able to take them, my two sons, to that camp, and they were around other children. So not only just homeschooling, but put them in a Spanish class or put them in something that somebody might have that's extracurricular to add to what you're doing. So you don't have to feel like, or either, like I said, even if they're not getting it in the regular school system, then you can have different options to take them to different things to get them what they need. But it's not going to come to you. You got to research it. You got to talk to people and get involved in the community because I think there are a lot of homeschool groups that
Yeah.
people may not even know about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can
Mm-hmm.
I just want to backtrack just a little bit when you were talking about greeting that child who was angry coming through the door and you had a emotion chart, you said. And you named two
Hmm.
things and you said I use one of them. What were those two things that were options for the way the kids will enter the room?
Uh, they could get we had like we had an apron on us and it had different pictures in there, like if you wanted a high five, or it had a frog if you wanted to be happy, so we hopped, or I'm happy, or we gave high fives, or it was a picture with a hug. They could do that, or they could pick the emotion, that they were in, but it had their name on it. And so it wasn't only like the traditional ones like anger, happy. It had frustrated, it had excited, it had other social emotional words that they could use. A lot of times he put it on frustrated. So it just didn't have the traditional ones, but we were trying to expand their social emotional language. So it had, I guess it had at least probably I would say at least three, six, at least 15 social emotional words that they could use to express how they felt. And then, like I said, the popsicle still had their name on it. So, and then you could use that too to kind of, well, he came in all week frustrated. Like maybe that could be something you could talk to the parents about or talk to the child about. So, really kind of created language to let them be able to express what was really going on. Some of them, it would be they got in trouble at home, something they did, or something in the car happened, or mom would maybe not have been having a good day. And some of them, it's really serious because one little boy would say that my mom said that she was going to commit suicide and we had to report it and everything. So just like some of it was just really, and you would think, well, he's making that up or whatever. No, it actually true. And then I think a couple of years later, it really actually happened.
Oh
So you
God.
have to really pay attention to those things that we put out, like not just look at them like, oh, he's happy every day or he's sad every day or whatever. Like maybe asking them why and how
Mm.
if they keep exhibiting a certain one that they putting it on. So social emotional part is a big piece of
Where'd you get the idea?
real
Where'd you get the
putting
idea
out
for
the
that?
well we had the poster through second steps and that's
Second
really good
steps.
a social emotional program that anybody can purchase but the
Second
school had it for
steps.
us.
Okay.
They have songs to go with it. They have even things that help them regulate, being still. Eyes are watching, ears are listening, voice is quiet, bodies calm. This is how we listen. This is how we listen at this time, at this time. So it helps them to know. And the kids begin, I know, body calm. If you hold up the
Well,
picture, they'll
yeah.
already, they like, because I would just use a lot of visual. I tell any homeschool parent, use a
Yes.
lot of visuals, use a lot of environmental print, because all of that is pre-reading. And so even though they don't know the words, they know the pictures. And don't let me hold up Walmart. Oh, don't let me hold up Dollar General or Family Dollar. They know it. They know it. They don't know the words, but they know they go there.
Mm-hmm.
Target. So environmental print visuals. And I think that ideal for that, the visuals on the doors is just really the kids would just come in so many different happy 1 minute, sad 1 minute. Some of them may want to go with their father. They was with their mother this weekend. Just different things. So like using that can kind of tell us, again, we had it in our room, but we never had it on the front of the door, and we never. I put pockets on it, and I put popsicle scissors. And we never used it that way, but we always had the chart in the room that we could point to and talk to them about. We had like a cozy corner. Like if they was having problems, they could go there, and then we would have the chart there so they could talk about the different emotions. But putting it on the
Mm.
door was just something different or to add to what we already had. But second steps, I love second steps. I like conscious discipline too, but a lot of kids don't relate to conscious discipline, which is a very popular social emotional program that I've helped a lot of children. But I love
Mm.
second steps. I love second steps.
I think it's so important for them to feel understood, and they don't have the vocabulary as you mentioned before. They just know anger, but there's different nuances of anger, the feeling of anger, right? So for them to feel understood right as they're entering the room, that's just so amazing because I didn't grow up with that. Like the teachers didn't care. You walked in, whatever you had, you better just keep it zipped and just sit down, do your work. I love that. What do you think? Did you experience anything like that? I didn't.
No, we didn't have anything like that. That's why I was
No.
curious where
Yeah.
the resources were, because it doesn't matter if you're in a school or you're in home
Yeah,
or
it's so
a
helpful.
micro school or anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
The tools sound
Yeah.
like they're useful in a lot of different settings, or you could modify them.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't go out and buy it, but you like the idea, and then you do it with your own stuff at home. If you're happy, you take this doll out. If you're sad, you take this doll out, and you could come up with a creative way for your child to communicate with you that I never would have thought
Yeah.
about.
I wish I knew
before.
that when my
Yeah.
kids were little.
So I'm curious, just because the
They
the
take their
work you're
own
doing.
pictures too of the kids. They can take the pictures of their own
That's true.
kids.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
wow!
Yeah.
See, that's fantastic. Yeah, get a picture of them in every state, and then
Yeah,
they can
that's
take a picture.
true.
They just hold up their own picture.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
true.
And I think
That's true. Yeah, I love that. I love that.
and with all the AI out there now,
Yeah.
you could take anybody and
Yeah,
put them
yeah,
into
yeah.
any kind of goofy pose
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
that you want. Would you be okay, Tali, if we move to some of her current stuff that she's working on or what she's trying
Yeah,
to do?
yes, I
So,
do. I wanted to ask her to talk about the preschool she's in the process of launching, but I also wanted you to talk about your superpreneur project. So,
Okay, well, like I said, when I came out of the classroom, because I like to do things different, I knew I couldn't change the whole system. So I've always desired to have my own preschool. And so that's how Wow Factor Academy Inc. came about. And the reason why I had WOW, the acronym is Wonders of the World. I wanted every day to be a wow experience for the children, not just them coming, but actually when they leave, they're saying, wow, I can't wait to come back tomorrow. So, because I think sometimes we can get so curriculum based and make sure we're following every little, well, I got to do this next, I got to do that next, 5 minutes for this, that we're losing a lot of the kids with that. And so then the behavior issues come in and then we don't get anything done hardly. Some of the books, we've switched curriculum over and over in the school system. A lot of it would have books that were just entirely too long. Like, the kids sitting there, you done gave them fidgets, but then like after a while, they're throwing the fidgets, they're doing this and that. So I wanted to be able to design a room that, where children can have a wow experience. And where I'm using invention education and engineering. I'm using edutainment, which is what I do. I'm using manners and the performing arts as a part of my program, and a creative artistic studio uh, that I haven't been talking about much lately. But I want the kids to be able to not have a time limit. I want them to have enough time to explore and create their own realities. I want them to be able to have time to build and create. And I had to do a project for Campbellsville where I went to get my bachelor's degree. And we had to do a video with the kids. And so I came up with the machine factory. And so my assistant videotaped me. And so I gave them all just a bunch of things you could put together. It might have been Tinker Toys. It might have been Magnetal. It might have been just a series. So I just gave them all a stack of everything. And so when we went around to interview them to ask them, what they made, somebody had made a mixer and they had the gear on there like it was turning and they had the little things at the bottom. I was like, it's really a mixer. So everybody that I went to, somebody had an iron. Like I'm like, they really created the things that they told me what it was. It actually looked like that. So I thought, why don't we have something where they can really create and really actually build things and actually really come up with a prototype? Because there was a little boy that needed a project for science and he didn't know what to do. And his dog went past and knocked the Christmas tree bulbs off. And he said, oh, I got it. So him and his brother went around and they interviewed everybody that had Christmas trees, asking what was the number one problem. They said the bulbs falling off. And why? Well, the dog ran over. Well, somebody tipped the tree or whatever. And so they created Ornalock, and the bulbs do not come off. It locks onto the tree. And they're millionaires right now. And they've been on Shark Tank and everything. And so
oh,
I
nice.
just think that if we take that challenging behavior energy, my belief, and we put it into them inventing and creating, that we could flip the script on a lot of the issues that we're having now kids. So I want to be able to have the freedom to do that, use engineering and invention education in the classroom. So that's one of the reasons too why I started. And then I forgot about financial literacy, because during COVID we were all in, and toward as COVID was ending, I went to a yard sale and I bought a lemonade stand. And so my grandkids did a photo shoot at Glamour Shots when we used to be open, and they had on superhero outfits because I'm very theatrical minded. And so they're cousins, and they both had on the outfits. And so we were there after we taking pictures. And I said, you know what? I said, y'all gonna be the superpreneurs. I said, y'all gonna be entrepreneurs who save and invest. And so from there, I did the book. They're on the book cover, and then they started the lemonade stand. And when COVID was ending, we sold almost 100 bottles, and so that was the beginning of me writing the book. And then it continued on until it turned into curriculum. And now they have a journal, they have flashcards, and now we teach money principles, preschool to third grade, entrepreneurship, teach them how to start their own business so they don't make the same financial mistakes that we've made in the past. And Robert Kawasaki said he thinks that financial literacy should start in early learning. And so,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh, that's
we
wonderful.
look at all the debt and all the debt that we've incurred with not knowing, certain things. Well, really not even really talking about money. So it's just a fun way to introduce kids to something that could last a lifetime and actually really change their whole. I told my grandkids they can pay for their own college. I
Yeah.
said take one
Yeah.
class at a time, and with your business, take your money and pay for your own classes. So
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so cool. So how do you? So one of the things that Tali and I are frustrated with is we're very passionate about teaching about money as well, maybe to an older audience. But sometimes, like for example, when we went to a homeschooling conference, the awareness that people need this or that this is valuable, we it wasn't like they were coming to us saying we're looking for a solution for this. We're there saying this is something that's really valuable, but we were talking to people who didn't see the need, and so we
Well, they
struggled.
saw, they knew there was a need, but it was very low on their
Well,
priority list.
yeah. So I'm dying to know from your point of view the parents that are coming to you, do they know they have this need? Are you helping them understand that? How, because that's something that we've struggled with. So what are you seeing from your point of view?
well, I think by me going to different networking groups like RO, like New Entrepreneur Network of Entrepreneur Women, being in a program called Master Builders, which is through my church. I think just talking to people and really when people begin to learn about financial literacy, when they begin to think of, I wish I had known that myself. And then I've been running into people since having my student loan forgiven, which was 68,000. People talking about they wish they had known certain things before now. And then my grandkids performed at the Rotary Club. They were invited by Delene, and she's a part of the Network of Entrepreneur Women. And Nate Morris was there. He's like a billionaire. And New Directions was there, and it was um, who else was there? Kevin Fields was there. He's with a community center down off of Muhammad Ali Boulevard. They were like after they saw my grandkids perform, they did the financial literacy rap, and then they taught we showed the video and everything about their lemonade business, and they were saying we need to start early with kids. So I think just you just have to knock on the right door to get people's interest. Like when they see what you're doing, like the kids need this. And when we were the financial literacy program that just piloted, I'm at Spirit Filled Church. I really want my own location. Um, because I want to design it the way I like colors. I like for kids to be like, ooh. So, but anyway, this church is letting me host my financial literacy program there for right now. The pastor's wife was in on one of the sessions, which one of our first sessions is what is money. And we were doing bingo, and the kids had the coins and the dollar bills. And when I was calling out some of them, they didn't know what a half dollar was. They didn't know what some of the bills were. And she was like, kids really need this because they're so used to doing their phones. Like, they don't think we've taken field trips to McDonald's to see if they can get the right change back. Some of them so used to adding up stuff on the phone that they don't even know how to basically really count money. And I know they're getting rid of some coins and different things like that, but I just think it's just basic stuff they don't know. If they didn't have the phone with them, could they get the correct change back? Could they take a $20 bill and get change back and know that that's how much they're supposed to have? And so I think when people start seeing, because the little boy's mother was like, boy, you got to go home and start counting. Like, I don't think the parents know until they actually see their kid. Like, she was like, I can't believe you don't know that. Like she wasn't mad at him, but she was like, boy, that's a dollar. That's a quarter. That's a half dollar. And so just that little simple activity was fun, but you got to ask somebody what that is. If you don't know it, and that was an older child that I let in the program. It was just I think when in the pastor's wife was like, kids really need this. This is critical. Like we've gotten so far away from them just using their phones to do
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
and to tell them what to do that they don't actually really know if the phone went down, if they had a $50 bill and went shopping, they wouldn't even know really basically how to count the change they got back. So
Where are you now with this program and rolling it out? Is it available for online? Tali probably already knows this. I don't. But also for the audience, what is available now for people? What impact have you already had, and what's the next step?
the impact that I've had several children to start their own businesses. I piloted with New Directions in the beginning because their fundraiser was at the Rotary Club and he was interested. And so I did a pilot program at one of their sites. And so we had Lip Gloss Goddess, which she sold about 200 and I said, no, at least $250 worth of products, selling lip gloss, little purses, and cake pops and sunglasses. We had brother and sister business that they sold cookies and cupcakes, although they argued the whole time because he said he wanted to sell chips next time. And then we had Nari's Lemonade. She was four, and she knew what assets were. She could tell you what an entrepreneur was because we have the flashcards throughout the lessons and everything. And she had a lemonade business. I think her whole family came out, grandparents and grandmother. And then New Directions, their employees came out to support the kids. We had Jello Jigglers. Uh, they had Jello, different types of Jello, and we had somebody that was doing bracelets. So just really getting the kids started in entrepreneurship has been the takeaways that now they can make their own business. They got a business plan within that 8-week program. They had 3 ideals. They had to go home and ask their parents, being in partnership with them, what can I do to get this business started? And they had to come back and say what materials they were going to need. And even in the financial literacy program, they haven't did their pop-up shop yet because of the holidays, but we even created a mock pizza business where they had to see how much the spaghetti sauce cost. I mean the pizza sauce cost. They had to find out how much the cheese was going to be. They had to find out all the things they were going to need to start the business, how much it was going to cost, and where they were going to get the money from. And in the book, Dior and Kamani borrowed money from their parents to buy the table, to buy the cash box, to buy the lemons and the sugar. And so they were explaining to Lavinia because she wanted to know in the book, why I got $5. I'm gonna take my money and just go buy candy and play some games with it. And they were explaining to her that if they bought the lemonade and they sold it for, say, like if they had 30 cups and they sold it for $1 a piece, well, if they spent $15 and then they sold it for $1, they would double their profit and make $30. So they would explain to her about profit, net profit, gross profit. They explain to her about capital. So throughout the book, they're explaining to her, and everywhere in the book where you see an entrepreneurial word, then you would see it would be colored because in the back there's a glossary, and the parent or the children can go look up if they didn't know what assets were. They could go look up assets. If they didn't know what entrepreneurship was, they could look that word up. If they didn't know what capital was, if they didn't know what gross profit and net profit is, the difference between the two. And if they didn't know all those terms, they could look at it in the back of the book and it would tell them what page it's on and where they could find it. And so in the end, Lavinia is so convinced that she invests $5 into the business and she goes off with them and they start a superpreneurs network to help people during COVID get medical supplies and all that. So, and then they fly off to go save the day again, which save means saving and investing. So
Mm-hmm.
they go off to, so that's available. We have a book, we have a journal, we have a Smart Goals workbook that we just published for smart kids and for smart families. So the family can do it together with the children, or either the children can do it by themselves. And the children in the program now have set smart goals on what they want to accomplish in their business. One little boy wanted to buy his own tennis shoes. And so he put his smart goal was that the tennis shoes, and then is it achievable? He said yes, it was achievable. It was measurable, and then it was achievable. He said it was achievable, and then it relevant. He was like, yes, he wanted to not have his mother pay for his tennis shoes. He wanted to buy his own, and so then it had time based. How long is it going to take you? So he put $20 a week. Uh, I think he said 5 weeks, and then he would have enough money to purchase the tennis shoes. So we use that, and they have a chore chart, and they have to go home and see how they're going to make this money to support their smart goals. And so each month is more goes up to 12 months. They can set a smart goal on how much money they want to make in the business, and this is really a good program. I'm like you. I mean, you try to tell people about it, but until they actually see it, and I've been making videos and more content trying to show people. And then we do a week of affirmations, which is a powerful mindset week where we talk about I am a wealth magnet. I am powerful. I am strong. I am the world's greatest reader. I have big goals. I am intelligent and different things like that. We have t-shirts and stuff to go with that. So really it's a good program. Like you said, I think we just, with your program and my program, we just have to keep knocking on the door. I think there's
Yeah.
somebody out there that's going to
Yeah.
buy these programs
So
because they're needful.
yeah. So all of your books, the flashcards, the workbook, the affirmation book, they're all available on Amazon. Is that correct?
Hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay, so before we wrap up, I just want to kind of circle back way to the beginning when we started this thing. I feel like what what sets you apart as an educator is that you meet the kids where they are, and you're creative, and you give them the freedom to self-express. What would you say to a homeschooling parent who's just starting out, freaked out about the responsibility of teaching their preschooler? What would you say to them?
I would say to join a homeschool association somewhere. And I would say try to do as much research as you can if you're thinking about doing it. I think when I homeschooled, I used a curriculum called School of Tomorrow. And what they did, they would keep up with the grades and everything because I knew that they were eventually going to go back into the school system. So what they did when I did want to go back, everything was already in order. They had I would send, whenever I tested them or did anything work with them, I would send the grades to School of Tomorrow, and then they would send it back in a professional report card. So then when I went to when they went back into the school system, they could show documentation. I even had to keep attendance because one thing with homeschooling, and when you leave the school system, you have to fill out everything and let them know that you're starting a homeschool. And you have to make sure you're lined up with their statutes on how it's supposed to be done. And so I kept a professional record of everything that I was doing. So, and if they could enter back in, then they would have documentation of that. And the teachers could tell that they had been homeschooled. They was like, were they homeschooled? Because they didn't believe. And I was like, we were homeschooled. They was like, no, you weren't. And so they could tell the difference on just that one-on-one, you know. But I would tell them I joined the homeschool association and then go to the conferences like what you all did to check out the different curriculums and, you know, talk to other parents that are doing it.
Yeah. Have you been to one? Have you brought your
Been
program?
one, no, not. I haven't been to one since I homeschooled, which I went to look at their curriculum, and I loved it. And there was a dad that was homeschooling like 10 children, and I was like shocked. I didn't know dad. I mean, well, I knew that they could do it, but
We're capable.
actually see, yeah, he had some curriculum called beta curriculum, but no, I haven't been to any homeschool conferences with any of the things I'm doing. That's one thing this year I'm going to try to do is just get, because I have other books too,
Yeah.
Alphabet, Five Senses, and I started creating professional development to go with some of my books so I could, because I'm a trainer for the Division of Child Care, and I could train teachers. I also sell my curriculum too. So
Okay.
I want to do that this year to get to more homeschool conferences. Some of them that I tried to go to, the vendors prices were extremely
They
high. I
were.
mean, you know, like $3,000 just to go and
Well,
show
Oh.
your
we can
stuff.
give
So,
you
Yeah.
some ideas for sure, but I want to I want to say something else. I'm still looking from the point of view of parents who are even just considering homeschooling, right? So from our conversation, I think it's really clear that it takes a village to train up a child. It's not just mom or dad, and even if you cannot homeschool because you're both working jobs and you want the best for your child, there's still teachers out there like you, super passionate, with resources, with support that can really bring up a child. And so if you want to homeschool but you can't, you can of course supplement at home, you know, in any creative way that you want to, but just understand that there's still really wonderful teachers and passionate educators out there in the school system working hard and championing for your child's well-being. So I just wanted to restate that. Yeah.
Yeah. I
yes,
mean, so
thank you. There are.
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for the impact you're having on
Yeah,
all
it's
these families,
amazing.
all these
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah. Amazing
Yeah.
resources. I've seen her books, and
Yeah.
she brought them in the box to the dinner. We sat next to each other, and I flipped through them like, these are really good. I think that families, whether they homeschool or not homeschool, can really benefit from just having that conversation and just doing the workbook, even just one time. You know, they may not necessarily go out there and start a business at their street corner, but they can still gain so much by just going through your workbooks and your storybooks and love your manner books, all that stuff. I love your rap. I think that's really, really cool for kids. You know, like the rhyming is so reinforcing for their language skills. So yeah, it's super, super excited about your work, and best of luck with your preschool project. I know you're looking for a location right now. So maybe we can follow up with you a year or two from now when you have your own space, you've got your own program rolling strong. You know, we would love to chat
we're
with
gonna
you
bring
again.
we're gonna bring your program in too. We're gonna bring your program in too because
Yeah.
we need all of it.
We need all of
So
it.
like
It
what
takes
you-
a village. It takes a
Yes.
village. Thank you so much for chatting with us. It is New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And Bridget's hopping on with us.
this is fantastic. Great to meet you. Well, once we do stop the recording, just hang on for a second.
Yeah.
But we
Okay.
wish you all the best. We'll get all your links out there so we can tell people about what you're doing. Is there anything in particular that you need help with that you want to just ask the what
We
would
do
be-
have very passionate audience.
We have a passionate
Yeah, we
audience.
have
So
very passionate
is there
followers.
if there's something that would help you
Well, I'm looking
make
for
an impact?
board members. I'm looking for board members and looking for sponsorships.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Cool.
it's a good thing you guys are networking. I'm very confident you guys will figure that
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
We don't need to seek trust when we can see proof. It is real-time consensus that aligns us to evolve. This is how, amidst uncertainty, our lives continue to grow when we uphold our own rules, we preserve our own worth, and defend our own voice, which lets the true market emerge. The strength of the design lies in each of our participation, since we are the nodes that channel our energy end to end. As we claim responsibility to uphold our own rights, we radiate the power that brings our truth into light. And when that dawn of light touches all parts of the globe, and it ripples throughout society, and it returns us the hope that becomes the power that sparks humanity to thrive, that same power that fuels the creation of the mind. And when our mind and our money are truly set free and they transcend the limits of past boundaries, now knowing becomes owning and ideas become wealth. What happens now? We can all push to expand the edges of our existence. It is through evolution when things are the hardest. As we head for the light, we have to push through the darkness. It is in these moments we do what we do best. We take the chaos and the darkness and use our power to create. It is in these moments when we're all in alignment and our freedom of difference ascends us to our highest amidst the depth of it all. Know that hope is not gone. It is always darkest before dawn.